Welcome back to the podcast. Roll the intro.
Yeah, they call me a savage. How I'm putting in work. I hustle and grind, I put in the time, get what I deserve. Savage.
Never gets old, that one, bro.
What's happening?
Nice cruising, man.
Buggered after that session.
Yeah, that was happening.
Energy levels are going to be a bit.
Yeah, I felt it. That's why I pulled back on that last set. I was just like, bro, I can only get 3 sets out because I'm fucked.
Yeah, when you can see your reps sort of just going down.
Just deteriorating. And I was just like looking up at the bar, like, you're not ready for this, bro.
So for context, we did sort of nearly at our peak level of this sort of program we're on, where we did bench press. We did 120 for 5 sets of 10, which is pretty ridiculous. I thought 110 was like the limit that would be humanly possible for myself.
When I'm watching you walk around getting nervous, bro, that's when I'm like, oh, fuck, this is going to be heavy.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever got nervous before a DS50, which is 5 sets of 10. So we got it.
You did it well.
Yeah.
I missed, what, 8 reps, which is a little bit disappointing, but I'm fine. I'll get it.
I felt like we could have just done that 5 minutes at the bench and just done a session. It would have been done.
Right? Call it, yeah.
And then we had our dumbbell work and whatnot.
Yeah, like I made a good point too, bro. Like from doing those push-ups that I've been doing, you know, I'm not doing them daily as much as I was at the start of the year, but the strength endurance, you know, because I felt like during the dumbbells and stuff, even though I missed out on, you know, that 8 reps, like I was still able to get underneath the dumbbells and start pumping out. And I'm not saying I've got better endurance or anything than you, but that is 500 push-ups actually helped me get through that session today. But then I was still fucked at the end.
Yeah. But that sort of leads us in what we're going to speak about, like sort of mastering our exercise progressions and where to start, where to assess. I feel like a lot of people are doing like shit sandwich programming. I've never seen anyone send their program to me and be like, whoa, that's a really good program. Yeah. Like, it's first of all, like, no one knows what the point of the program is. They're lifting or they're doing whatever, but with no real purpose. I think without any real purpose, how long are you really going to do it for? And
purpose ties into the goals that you have, right? Or do you think the purpose ties into like what you're trying to get out of the program?
Yeah, what you're trying to get out of the program. I always, you know, reverse engineer.
Yeah.
Whatever you're trying to get out of the program. Yeah, I just feel like people just program for to fill into the time of whatever, 45 minutes or an hour, and they just fill it up with whatever muscle group they want to work or whatever strength exercise they want to work in. Then there's no real thinking going into the program. So we're going to speak about a little bit what we do. Sort of start with like, why is it so important that there's progression for like all the different exercises and how to progress? So I'll give you an easy one, like a split squat. What would you do?
For a ATG split squat?
Yeah.
I would go with height first.
Yeah.
You know, I'd regress the movement so it's at a level where you're taking as much weight as you can away from that front leg. The more weight that you're not putting through the movement, then the easier it is to go through the movement. And then all you're doing is working with level. So you're just dropping from height. So you go from hip level to knee level to ankle level to the ground. And then as you start progressing through to the ground, you'll notice you'll be able to find more range through that knee, through the ankle, and through the hip. And then when you hit the ground, that's when you start progressing with your weights. And I'm a big believer in progressing through weight in small increments. Now, you don't have to jump too far. You're not like this guy the other day jumping on 30 kilogram fucking split squats. I have to actually progress things slowly. And through that progression, I'm able to find a better movement. I understand the movement more, which is, I feel like it's very important to learn because a lot of people skip past the basics of any movement, any exercise, and then you're able to bulletproof yourself, which is ultimately the goal for anyone.
And it's always technique first before you go into the next progression. I feel like people can do the next progression, but they do it uglier than the previous regression, so they're not actually improving. And then they'll hit a point of a plateau where they can't go any further, and then they got to go back to actually fixing up their technique first, which takes longer. So it's sometimes better just to slow down. And you'll feel those little increments where you're like, oh, I'm feeling good today. I want to pump it up. Like I felt like that on Monday. So I skipped probably a week's worth of progressions and I just went straight to the top set and just went, yeah, I feel good doing this. which you can do.
Yeah.
But I feel like people do that like first week.
Yeah. There's no patience there, bro. Which is what I understand about what you're saying before. There's no purpose behind the program that they're following, or there's no purpose behind the training. You just got to understand the perfect way to do it, and then understand how to regress it, and then work your way past or further for yourself.
Yep, definitely. And then sort of assessing your sort of current level. I think every little exercise has a bit of an assessment in it within itself.
Yep.
So chin-ups, if you can do full chin-ups, not just
That's a good
halfies
one,
or that, even pull-ups, dips.
Yep.
Bench press, touching your chest, like all those little things that, give you good technique to be able to perform and then progress properly. Because see a lot of people just progressing, but they're just doing worse reps than they were.
Yeah.
Put it more weight, worse technique.
Yeah.
which doesn't add up long term.
The world.
Yeah, so either get injured or just either hit a plateau and then, you're not going to improve.
That's why they can't get past that plateau, because they're always getting to a point where they're pushing themselves to a point where they're getting either injured or their body starts pulling up with these little niggles that makes them want to stop, which makes sense. Yeah.
I feel like some people are lucky too, like just lucky in the sense that their body is built in such a way that they can get away with a bit of poor technique.
Yeah.
Have you seen people that are trying to deadlift like 200 something kilos and they can't even, they don't know how to keep a proper spine position or whatnot, but they're just lucky that their spine's not breaking or strong enough to
100%.
handle it. It's got a bit of adaptation there as well.
Yeah, hard.
Strategies for gradually increasing the volume of your sets and reps in a workout.
Fuck, I've got an old school. I feel like we're all old school with these, bro.
Yep.
Like the sets and reps, we just increase. Like, let's just talk fucking volume. We increase volume to a high level. We just keep building on it. So we always talk about, man, I wonder what you would do if you could hit. So you hit DS 50 for 120 today, and then in your brain you're like, I reckon I could hit. What did you say after? You said you could hit 140 times.
Yeah.
So that's how we roll. So like the standards that we have for our sets or our volume or our reps, I should say, is all based off standards. So we talked today about, the fact that this guy can hit 50 reps of 120 kilos in 5 minutes. I feel like if he jumped underneath 100 kilos, he could push out 40 reps.
Mm.
So that's a bit like left field from what we're actually talking about, but it's understanding what your standards are and then working your sets and your reps and your workout around those standards as well.
Yeah, I think that's how I like to think of my training too. So if I can hit this amount for this amount of reps, then that equates to this type of 1 RM for a bench press or a squat or even the split squats when I could do a certain amount on the dumbbells, then I know that will transfer towards my back squat, even though I don't back squat.
Yeah.
So, and I've tested all those things in the past, so I sort of got a good idea around that area. And even with like fitness levels for footy players, if you can run, I don't know, a certain amount of times, and you'll be all right on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus a bit of match fitness, you're pretty safe. And I think that's how I base all my sort of training around is, does that equate to getting stronger instead of just not cool. Achieving anything at all? Like, what's that actually achieving this bench press? Can that, I don't know. Then that all it goes back to reverse engineering your goals. Do I need a big bench press? I'm just ego purpose. I'm just ego lifting like this. The thing, I just like it. Yeah, that's cool. A good enough reason as well to do things. I don't think you need a purpose like that. If you like something, you can do it.
Yeah, it's just sort of like that for me. That what I'm hearing is understanding your baseline and always being able to push that baseline. So now we know that 120 is for 50 reps is your baseline now, and that's the standard for yourself. If you're hitting that, I'm very interested to see what you can actually do, bro, with 100 kilos. How many reps can you actually push out? And then obviously getting underneath 140 kilos as well, see how many reps you can pump out.
I'm interested in my 1 RM now. So
yeah, sick.
I thought 110 for 50 was 180. I could hit 180 after that. But I sort of need a couple of weeks tapering to a heavy weight, because when I go under 160, it feels super heavy.
Yep.
I know I still got the strength level, but it just takes a couple of weeks.
Run me through your thought process for building that 1RM. What would you do?
I feel for me, I react better with volume training, like what we do. That's why I do the DS50s compared to, say, 5 sets of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I've like a more power building would probably be under that category than pure strength training, where you do 5 sets of 5-minute breaks in between, and then taper off to 3s and 2s and 1s.
Okay.
Yeah, I do another session where I do the 3s, the 2s, and the 1s. But yeah, I feel like volume works better for me mentally and sort of physically.
Do you think volume works for everyone?
No, I don't. Nah, just certain people. Some people like. I think if you're really in the strength sport game, then the 5x5s, and then you taper off and do proper strength training. I don't like to train like that. I find it real boring. Like 5-minute breaks in between. We do our session in 45 minutes. But
get in, get out.
Yeah, I feel like some people are still beginners and they train like that, where there's still a lot of volume that they could do.
They're missing out on, which is important too. You don't need to get that volume in order for you to get that weight.
Yeah, some people take on training programs that people have been training for 10 plus years.
Yeah,
which sort of doesn't work for them. It's all a learning game.
It's all a learning game, bro.
Where are we going? Bit of safety around the volume and stuff as well. Like we do it gradually. Like we increase our weight gradually. We don't do big jumps.
Yep.
Unless we're feeling really, really good.
I think it's like really important to understand your limits too, bro. Like when I look at that increasing intensity, I think about let's say for my knee, and my knee's never perfect. And if we're talking split squats, for example, and a strength exercise that we both do, I have to dial things back and regress on the roll. So my first set might be high, at a box, and then my next set might be a bit lower, but that third set I might be feeling good, so I'll head towards the ground. I think it's safely increasing the intensity of exercise can actually be done during the session, but then understanding, how to build as well. So what I said before about the increments, I like to increase weight slowly and steadily, and making sure I'm hitting perfect technique every time.
The worst one is when you're injured and then you feel good and then you go, yep, I'm going to go back to normal, bro. Instead of going through the steps. Instead of going step 1, step 2, step 3, you go step 1, step 2, step 7, session. And that happens with running volume as well. You might feel good, go out, I'm going to train with the boys tonight.
Have to build, man.
Not a controlled environment. You're doing side steps and sprints when you're not supposed to. Yeah. And then you pull up sore the next day.
Skipping and jumping,
Yeah,
bro.
you sort of got to go through the steps, and we sort of just try and promote that. Being patient as well is a big thing.
Which is hard for a lot of people too, bro.
It's the worst. Especially the younger you are, the harder it is.
Holding the reins, bro. And that's like one of the cool philosophies that I first jumped on board, and he said to me, bro, less is always more. Building in a small, slow pace. The guy who can get 500 sessions under their belt, like Rudy and Luke, all those guys who are in the mobility program that I've seen their results on the Savage Mobility page, mate, they've just got so much kilometers underneath their belt. They can afford to have a little bit of time off and then come back and slowly build up again. But there's guys who haven't even built up their volume at the start, and they go missing, and they expect to come back and start hitting it, straight away as well, which is a very good point.
100%. What do we got next? Best ways to track it. We sort of do it in our head because we do the same session all the time.
Yeah, I like rolling like that, bro. But
when you're a beginner, I feel like it's better to keep note. Because you do forget when you if you're doing weights at the gym and you're pulling out the pin and putting it in, how are you going to remember all those things and making sure all the reps
There's so much. There's utilize technology. I feel like a lot of people don't still, or you could be old school. I remember Mish Halabi, and I always mention this, but Mish, she brings around her book with her everywhere she goes. If you've got a online coach or some sort of coach, and he's got a training system that you can track everything, then that makes things simple. But if you're just working off your Pat Malone, then just finding a way to jot down what you're doing.
Yeah, so don't be surprised at the results you don't get with the work you didn't do either.
Fuck yeah. And I feel like the way that we progress though, bro, is very outlandish. We don't hop in small increments. We hop in
Yeah, but that comes with experience.
Yeah, exactly,
I think we've got
bro.
10 years, 20 years plus behind us, so that helps. So we can freestyle a little bit.
Yeah,
but there are times where I don't know, even when I've been in a rush, even mobility stuff, tried to hit pancake too early and just tore my groins.
Yeah, that was me. I'm still recovering from it.
Just
Fucking
going
6 months
super
later,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah, and then, we still have little dabbles of not being patient.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Patience. Next one is the recovery. How can we balance our recovery and sort of sleep, nutrition? What's that play a big role towards? Like, this, especially the stuff we do with like a higher volume.
Yeah, it's. I think it's the most underutilized thing, bro. Sleeping. I think a lot of us, even myself included, we think too much about what's in front of us, which will be the training, which should be sometimes the food, and that we forget about the little things. How much screen time that we have, how much stress that I'm carrying along with my life. Am I dealing with my stress or then recovering? Am I spending time, in the boots like what you've got that I just saw this morning, the Normatec boots or the big Normatec boots, or hot and cold baths, or you get into the sauna, you get into the ice baths,
Cold showers,
yeah, all that
water,
all that shit counts.
hydration. There's heaps of little things that you can do that add up over the time. There's no special ones, but sleep's super important.
Fuck
Man, try training when you're tired.
Fucked.
It's the worst.
It is
I
the
can get away
worst.
with one day, like a real. What's the good one that I think Layla Hamosi says? Like, even if you have a bad sleep, just you got to push through. It shouldn't be an excuse to have a bad training session or a bad day. Like, just suck it up. I'm like, yo.
But like you get into positions like, fuck, man. Like every human's gone through something that's hard. You just got to remind
And
yourself.
harder.
Yeah.
100 times harder than we are. We're in like a luxury
Exactly,
life.
bro.
That's what I sort of try and remind myself when I'm like, sort of build your life up to be so like soft there. And like, fuck, you got to put some hard stuff just to toughen you up again, or you just falter, I reckon.
100%.
I don't think seeking comfort all the time is good for you.
Bro,
Like even with like food and everything, I
we've
feel
had
like
this conversation
the
so many
sickness
times.
will
You're like,
find you, the
Chero?
depression will find you.
Chero, you know what you should do, bro? Fuck, what should I do? You should just live 75 hard. Fucking know if I should, bro.
Fuck yeah, when you live soft, I don't know, it just doesn't
work.
doesn't work for me. I just
No.
go into a
Weak dog.
weak dog mode, and I don't like it. So I always like keeping on top of my training.
I eat Oreos
Like
on the
fasting.
couch.
Fasting is another thing, eh?
Yeah, fasting's massive. It's hard, bro.
Because you have so much access. We can get any food we want, pretty
Yeah.
much. We have access to it, as much of it as we want. So I feel like that fasting takes it away. So when you do eat, it's like, oh, that's good.
You actually fucking deserve the food, bro.
Yeah.
And you understand, like, having food and living in this country is we're very well off. I think a lot of us forget about that. And, fasting or even your food is still another form of recovery too. And if you actually do it properly, then you can probably train a lot better.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with being hungry. Don't need to eat straight away because you're hungry. You can just push through that
Most
period.
of you are too fucking fat and you need to eat less. Trust me. Sorry, guys.
So sleep, nutrition, water's a good one. You're real good on water.
Yeah.
I'm hopeless, so I supplement with the hydration salts, LMNT. They're the best.
They're
things,
so
bro.
good, bro.
I feel like if I have one of those in the morning, then I'm at least, covered for a
Yeah.
good majority of the day, and then I can just top up because I don't know, I just haven't ever been in the habit of drinking like liters of water.
Yeah.
Unless I did the 75 hard with you.
Yeah.
So I think that one in the morning that I have with my 600ml bottle at the gym, bang, and then I have another 600ml, then I know in my morning and towards the afternoon I'm set, and then I
How
can
did you feel?
taper.
When you were doing phase one, when you were doing the water, how did you feel?
Yeah,
You
it was
felt
good.
difference?
It was good. I just don't like going to the toilet all the time.
Yeah,
It's the
fucking
biggest
pisses
headache.
off, bro.
Especially when you're out and about and there's no toilet. At home it's fine, but when you're out and about, I hate always having to go toilet.
Like, I don't even know if we're meant to drink that much water anyway, my bro. Rather be like a camel, eh?
Just pump the salts.
Pump the salts all day.
Okay, how can we prevent injuries during progressive training? Blah, blah, blah. Should we follow proper warm-ups, cool-downs?
Yeah.
We always do a warm-up first.
if I'm doing legs, I'm always warming up, and it's always the same shit. Sleds. I'll just jump on a reverse or a dead mill. You know, for me, it's very simple. But then for upper body, I tend to go away. But then I'll watch uni. Yeah, we did today.
Yeah.
But like normally, I'm just like, I'll just jump underneath the bar and start moving. But always follow you. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the warm up, we just done the bar, then we went and done external rotations at the shoulder, and then we did the Andrew Locke sort of. I don't know, what does he call the shoulder back sort of activation. Mm-hmm. Those are real good with weights too.
They're sick, bro.
They make the back feel set for the bench press.
So how many movements would you do for a warm up? How many movements would you do for a cool down?
I go feel factor. I just do 2, and with a bar warm up as well. As I'm going up in weight, I superset with my warm up exercise. With my
so explain feel factor for these guys.
So I do bar, say bench press, bar warm up, superset with external rotations.
Yep.
Go back to put 60 on the bar.
Yep.
10 reps. Go back on the ground. We did that shoulder activation. I think we done 20 with 2 kilo weights.
Yep.
So activate the back. Then back on the bar, 80. A couple of reps. It's more feel factor.
Yeah.
And then back to external rotations.
Yep.
Back on the bar, 100. I think we went 100, 110 to 120. And we're just only doing 1 or 2 reps at that stage just to prep for the 120 weight. And then I sort of, once my shoulders feel all right, I just don't want to keep going external rotations till they're fatigued, and then it affects the bench press. So as soon as they're warm and I feel good, then I just drop those and then straight into bench.
Rip in. Yeah, and that's the same for me for legs, bro. You know, I do have a 10-minute warm-up all the time for reverse dead mills, but you can still feel good if you're feeling good after 5-6 minutes. And then if you just want to crank a couple of tib raises or some calf raises just to warm your shit up before you get into those more longer ranged movements, then do so as well.
Good. A bit of a pure training episode this one.
Yeah, bro.
But that was good.
That was good.
Shot, bro.
Shot, Kazi.
Yeah, they call me a savage. I'm putting in work. I hustle and grind, I put in the time, get what I deserve. Savage.